Sports Rewind Media F1 chats with Matt. Matt, how are you?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. How are you? Getting over your man flu?
Oh, I'm struggling, mate. I'm still struggling. It's been 2.5 weeks. I've still got this niggling cough, and you would have thought I would have got to see lots of the Formula One being sick, mate, laying on the lounge. But what a race it was.
It was a great race. It was an awesome race. But I think from our messages, I think you were asleep for like 20 hours a day. So I don't think you managed to see it live, did you?
I didn't see it live. I watched a replay back. I didn't manage, however, to hide the results before I seen it, which is a bit of a shame. Usually I can sort of turn all my notifications off and wake up and watch it, but I got me. This one, it got me. Someone sent me a message about it, and absolute cracker, mate. Your initial thoughts after the race?
Brilliant race. One of the best of the season so far. It was absolutely awesome. Only thing I was kind of a little bit when they done the formation lap behind the safety car. There's a little bit of frustration. I was just like, really? He's just wrapping them up in cotton wool. And then the mid-race safety car. I know a lot of people have said, "Oh, well, you have to be careful," but I do think they kind of appease to the drivers a little bit too much and sort of wrap them up and a bit too careful. They're supposed to be the best in the world. So the mid-race safety car I felt was a little bit unneeded. How the hell did they get on with it in the 90s and the 80s and the 70s at the end of the day?
Yeah, I agree with that. They do, like you said, bit of cotton wool, but also the safety, like you look at different things, different accidents that have happened and so forth. But yeah, I thought it was a great race. Lots of action. We talked about last week about possibility of it raining and turning the sort of race on its head, and it did that.
It
There
did.
was plenty to talk about. You want to go
Yeah.
through the driver standings, mate, for the weekend?
Yeah, so the race results. So obviously, sorry, but the big headline has got to be that Lando won the British Grand Prix. Um, was it deserved? I'll hold my hands up and say probably not. At the end of the day, Oscar done everything that he needed to do to win the race. And obviously, Oscar, after his 10-second penalty, ended up being in P2. Now, as we heard over the radio, he did cheekily ask McLaren and say, well, look, can we not reverse the positions and then race? I think he was kind of on a hope to nowhere there, because there was no way that McLaren were going to go and take the win away from Lando, because he'd done nothing wrong. We'll chat about the old Oscar penalty in a minute, but in the end, it was another decent 1-2 for McLaren. They were just way out in front of everybody, whether it be rain or dry. But I think the hero of the day not only got 50% of the driver vote as well, but the hero of the day, hands down, has got to be Nico Hülkenberg for his first ever podium in F1 after 239 starts. It's just an absolute hero result. That's brilliant in the Sauber, which doesn't deserve to be on a podium. That was just purely down to driver skill.
Yeah,
Although
absolutely.
he did outdo Lewis. Part of me was wanting Lewis to get that first decent race podium for Ferrari at home. It didn't happen, but it couldn't have gone to a better bloke than Nico.
You did predict Lewis in the wet, mate. You did say that he was going to be up there, but what about Nico, mate? What a great drive, and check out that trophy. I would be pretty pissed. 200 and however many Formula One races that I get on the podium, and I get a Lego box.
It's pretty unique, though.
It is unique, but I hope they gave me instructions, because if that thing come home to my house, it would be in 200 pieces in about an hour, I reckon.
If he's got young kids, I don't know whether he's got kids, Nico, but he needs to keep it in a safe cabinet out of the way. But I thought they were quite cool, the trophies this weekend. Tom had the same thoughts as well. He's like, oh, the Lego trophy's a bit shit. You want the gold one, but hey, it all counts. And finally, he's got that monkey off the back, and you could just see how emotional he was. And he just said, "I'm glad I'll never get asked this question again about when you're going to get your first podium." So good on him.
Yeah, no, fantastic, mate. He does have a little kid, I think a little girl. So I think Oscar asked him something about the trophy or something, and he said, "Oh, I don't mind. My kids will be able to play with that."
It was just awesome for him to get it. So now he's an F1 podium finisher and a Le Mans 24-hour winner. So
Yeah,
if only
pretty impressive.
if history had been slightly different, he was supposed to be in the seat that Sergio Perez got at Red Bull many years ago. So it could have been a completely different career for him.
Could have been, mate. Most races before scoring a podium, 239. That's pretty impressive. So 15 years, as you said. The next one down that list, Carlos Sainz, Martin Brundle. So the list goes on there. Pretty impressive, though.
Yeah, and he was also this weekend was the oldest ever first time podium finisher, 37, I think he is now. So getting on a bit.
Okay.
Left it late.
Yep. Left it late, but that's all right. Mate, let's talk about Oscar Piastri and what happened. You mentioned there that you weren't real sure. As a Oscar Piastri fan, he clearly stuffed up. Yeah. There's no other way to describe it. He fucked up.
I think that's definitely the way to sum it up. I mean, he had a face like a slapped ass after the race. He clearly weren't happy, but I think when he looks at the data, and they did say towards the end of the race, he slowed 100 miles an hour down that straight. So
Yeah.
he completely bollocksed it. There was no need for him to be He says he was getting a gap to the safety car and he didn't want to catch it up. End of the day, I think, look, I don't claim to be the biggest Max Verstappen fan in the world, but I think Oscar and George are playing silly buggers at the moment with Max, and I think they're trying to catch him out deliberately. Obviously, George done it in Canada. I think Oscar was desperately trying to do it this weekend. I think Max has hit the nail on the head that they are trying to kind of do him a little bit. But it just went one step too far and he bollocksed up his win, unfortunately.
Yeah. Look, you talked about the, McLaren reversing it. There's no way you would. Deserve to be number one and home Grand Prix. Like, why would you? So.
Yeah, I mean, McLaren were never going to do it because Lando done nothing wrong. I mean, he didn't deserve to win it. It's great that he did, and obviously it's great to be a Brit and have a Brit win the British Grand Prix. But on pure pace and over the course of the weekend, I will, happily concede to the end of the day, Oscar was the fastest driver over the course of the race. And anything that was chucked at him, bar the safety car, anything that was chucked at him, he handled it with superiority. He was miles out in front. He was dominating at the beginning of the race.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely agree, mate. Did you like the liveries on the weekend?
I thought it was a pretty smart livery. I did think it was quite comical, though, that Sky F1 turned around and said at the beginning of the weekend we're not allowed to name the colour of the car because of the sponsor. So they're desperately trying to call it everything other than a Chrome livery because of Google Chrome. So I thought that was quite funny.
It was pretty good. I did enjoy that myself. Mate, constructor championship. Let's have a look at that. What do we got here? Sorry, mate. Just trying to pull it up.
Other than McLaren dominance, I mean, they're just miles ahead, as we see in the standings.
Where are we? Here we go. So McLaren 460 probably can't be beaten.
Nah.
But we get down to the next three, and this is where it gets pretty cool. Ferrari 222, Mercedes 210, Red Bull Racing 172. The rest are pretty much fighting down there for their position. But looking at Ferrari, Mercedes, Red Bull, what's your thoughts here? Do you think Mercedes might come back and get into that second spot, or are you pretty happy with Ferrari there?
I think at the moment Ferrari have got it. It's all going to be track dependent, but the last update that they brought to the car seems it's not got them up there with McLaren, but it seems that Ferrari have now leapfrogged Red Bull, who are a one-car team anyway, and they've certainly leapfrogged Mercedes for now. So I think Ferrari are quite comfortably looking at second in the Constructors' Championship. It won't be enough, I don't think, unfortunately, to save Fred Vasseur's job. I think he's looking like he's going to get sacked by Ferrari it looks like the guy that's running the Ferrari Le Mans team that's won it 3 years in a row now. It looks like he's going to be taking over as the new Ferrari team principal at some point, which is a bit of a shame. But we all know what Ferrari's like; it's politics galore. But I think they've got second in the constructors wrapped up. But the biggest mover was Sauber jumping to 6th after their podium.
That is pretty cool. Good to see Sauber 2 races in a row getting up there. So another one for me was Gasly.
Yeah, he drove a stonker.
Yep, that was pretty impressive.
Yeah, he done very well this weekend. This again though, Alpine, they're another one-car team at the moment, and Gasly's having to carry the team on his back. But Silverstone was, I would say, one of his best drives in F1, just showing his maturity. And I think it was Martin Brundle or David Croft said on the Sky commentary, they were like, he's finally showing, even though he's a Red Bull reject, he's showing that he's really growing into a team leader now.
Yeah, it's good to see. I've enjoyed his progress. What about, I guess, overall points? We've got pretty close battle at the top now.
We have. It's down to 8 points now. We've done the maths quickly. Yeah, so it's 8 points between Lando. So it's game on. I mean, after Canada, when Lando crashed into the back of Oscar, it looked as though championship was done. I thought his bottle had gone, but the last 2 races, he's really pegged it back. So, but you got to be first, and at the moment, Oscar is still holding it up there. And I think just in pace, Oscar is still just edging it. I think if he doesn't do another mistake like he did in Britain, I think Oscar will still wrap up the championship.
Yeah, I think so too. But funny things can happen in motorsport. Lando Norris just behind there. You got Max Verstappen, George Russell, Charles Leclerc, Lewis Hamilton. Kimi Antonelli is up there in 7th, which has been an absolutely awesome season for him. Albon, the Hulk, up in the 9th. How good's that? And Ocon
Brilliant.
in the 10th. No need to talk about everybody else down there.
It's definitely a brilliant result, though, for obviously Hulk getting up to 9th in the Drivers' Championship now. I mean, considering that team was last in the Constructors' Championship last year, and they looked like they had no hope whatsoever. Now they're actually starting to look like a decent team ahead of the Audi rebrand next year. So looking very, very good.
They are looking good, mate. Another big one I got out of the weekend was this. For the first time in the history, F1, 2, 3, and 4 were all at the same track on the same weekend. So that was pretty cool to see.
That was.
And it was some quality racing. I enjoyed the F3 probably the most.
Carnage, wasn't it?
I don't know if you caught much of that, but yeah, it was pretty cool.
I didn't see the F3. I always watch the F2 every weekend because I like the F2 because I like to see who's bubbling under as next in line for F1. And the F2 races were pretty decent as well. And you can always guarantee with F2 sometimes it's kind of better action than what there is actually in the main event. The F2 drivers just don't give a shit. They just ram each other off the road.
It was the same for the F3. There was lots of, lead changes early and stuff like that. And then a bit of carnage and obviously the wet just completely screwed everything up. But lots of safety cars and, yeah, I think at the F3 actually they finished a bit early as well. So sad to see, but good to see them all at the one track on the one weekend.
Yeah, it was. It's good to have plenty of action for the fans at the track because obviously the British Grand Prix is absolutely disgusting in prices. And one thing that I did see, I don't know whether you see it on over there, but guess how much the car park was per day to park your car at Silverstone? I fell off my chair when I heard this one.
Oh. Look, I'm going to be talking Aussie dollars, so I don't know what that is for you. Let's say 30 quid. So I don't know. That's probably like $70 Australian or something.
Not anywhere close, mate. It was £150 per day to park your car at Silverstone, apparently.
Jesus. That's like 400 Australian dollars.
It's just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, they take the piss at Silverstone. it had 500,000 fans over the course of the weekend. So people obviously didn't care about paying the money, but the prices are just ridiculous. When I got told it was 150 quid a day, I was like, really? Just park your car?
Wow. That's insane. That really is insane.
But it was worth it. At the end of the day,
Yeah.
it was an awesome race. You can always guarantee on the British weather, absolutely pissing down, and it did. And it spiced everything up. Although, unfortunately, I'm sure Isaac Hadjo was probably the only one who needed new pants after the race.
Isaac Hadjo, hey? Yeah, that was a classic.
It was a
Oh,
big crash. It was he didn't even see Kimi Antonelli. He just all of a sudden his lights were just there. He's like, whoa, and just went right up his arse. So that was a bit of a nasty one, which is obviously why they put everyone behind the safety car. But yeah, if 19 others or 18 others at the time can carry on, I'm sure that they could have just gone with it, really.
yeah. I mean, I watched his vision back. Like they show like the onboard, and he's right. Like you don't even see the red flashing light, and then all of a sudden it's there, and it's too late. It's gone. So
Yeah, and they do say with the F1 cameras that they do wonders in sort of clearing everything up and how much brighter it is. And I know they have to err on the side of caution because what happened to Jules Bianchi a few years ago when he drove into the tractor in horrendous weather. So I know they have to be very health and safety conscious nowadays, but I just think they've got to come up with some kind of a way. Now we've got ground effect cars and they're staying again for the new rules in 2026. They've got to come up with something just to reduce the spray because ground effect just chucks it up in the air and it stays up in the air. So
yeah,
I know they've tried with wheel guards and they've tried all sorts of different anti-spray systems over the past 18 months. They've got to try and tweak something so that it reduces the spray.
yeah, yeah. No, fair. I mean, there's not a lot you can do. I wouldn't imagine there wouldn't be a great deal of things that you could apply to the car, like as you said, wheel guards or whatever. But then they're talking about drag and losing different aero and things like that. So, but I guess that's the price you pay if you maybe if they switch to wets, they've got to put some sort of mud guard on that clips on or something. I don't know.
Yeah, they
wet,
did look at wheel guards where when they changed to the wet weather tyres that they were going to be automatically fitting mud like wheel guards like mud guards on them, but that kind of flopped. They got to do
yeah,
something. I mean, the biggest thing out of it, they put everyone behind the safety car, and it was absolutely peeing down the rain. But why didn't they enforce everyone to go and put wet tyres on? They still allowed them to drive around with inters. If it was that
yeah,
bad, just tell them you've got to be on wet tyres. So.
yeah.
FIA and F1 chaos as always, but it was well worth the entertainment.
Plenty of chaos. What do we got next? Belgium in a couple of weeks. Is it Belgium?
It is, yeah, another good old classic race circuit next up, and looks like if rumours are true, an Aussie's back. Looks like Jack Doohan could be back on the grid.
Bloody hell. I hope so. I really do. But who knows? Like, that team is just a schmozzle with that, isn't it? It's so
It's
up and
just,
down. We're hearing, possibly Valerie Bottas was going to drive, and then we're hearing someone else. And I don't know.
yeah, it's a revolving door. At the end of the day, the CEO of Renault and Alpine is now gone, and now there's questions over the whole Alpine project. And even this week or the end of last week, there was even rumours that Hyundai, I always call it, but it's supposed to call it Hyundai now. They're sniffing around to buy it apparently. So there's all sorts of rumours about their future. But the second seat is a revolving door. Valtteri Bottas was linked with making his comeback at Spa, but now it seems that because he might have a Cadillac deal in his pocket, that might have kiboshed his return in the Alpine. And the two names that have been coming up is Paul Aaron from Formula 2, their reserve driver, or Jack Doohan getting re-promoted. So it's looking possible Doohan could make another couple of races back.
What's Jack Doohan been doing since he's been gone? Has he just been the test driver and done nothing?
Reserve, test, and simulator driver, basically. They kind of butted him right down the order. But I think they've realised the Franco Colapinto experiment's not worked. Whether he was lucky with Williams last year and it was just right place, right time, or whether the environment is just not clicking with him at Alpine, I don't know. But his head's gone. And
Yeah.
apparently, they've thrown him under the bus as well because when he couldn't start the race, they've blamed it on him. They've said that it's because he keeps doing something wrong with the gearbox. So they're throwing him under the bus left, right, and centre.
Yeah, that's pretty average, isn't it? Oh well. F1 movie, mate. I know you're going to see that. How was it?
Awesome. I'd say to any hardcore F1 fan, go in there with an open mind. There's a few things in there. There's a couple of moments I laughed, and I just thought, if that was real F1, the way they hand out the penalty points nowadays, you wouldn't even pass a race because they hand them out like Smarties at the moment. So there's a few things you have to suspend your disbelief with, but overall, the action and the cinematography is so noisy and like you're actually sitting in the car, and the pictures and the speed, the way they produce the speed on the cameras and everything is just awesome. I thought it was an all-round brilliant movie, and I can see why now it's smashing the Apple records. I mean, last week it had done $144 million in its opening weekend. God knows how much it's done now, because the cinema was half packed, which I thought was pretty good.
Definitely one you got to see at the movies, though.
Definitely. I'd recommend it to everyone. I'd say go and see it. Just have an open mind and get involved in the movie. You might be, if you're a hardcore fan, you might be a bit disappointed on how much actual track action there is. There's more storyline element to it, but Brad Pitt was actually pretty decent as well. He didn't sort of over-Americanize it and act like a twat. I was quite impressed with it.
Awesome. I'm planning on going to see it this weekend, so didn't get out there last weekend. A bit sick. But yeah. All right, mate. We might leave it there, and we'll be back in a couple of weeks to talk about the Belgium Formula One and all things Formula One. All right,
yes, mate.
Take it easy. Thanks for joining me, mate.
See you soon,
All
mate.
right, mate. See ya.